Today, we're joined by Beth, Johnathan, and Reza from Aware Nova Scotia. In this episode, we get to know the organization, the work they do across Nova Scotia, and the people and communities they support. We talk about why this work matters, how Aware Nova Scotia is making a difference, and what they want more Nova Scotians to understand about their mission. Beth, Johnathan, and Reza bring such valuable perspectives to the conversation, and we're excited to share more about the important work happening at Aware Nova Scotia. So grab a coffee and join us at the kitchen table.
This Kitchen Table Care Chat is proudly brought to you by Surge Learning and CareLink. Surge Learning supports care teams by keeping staff engaged through career development, accessible policies, and clear insight into learning and performance trends. The focus is on helping teams feel confident, supported, and prepared in their roles. CareLink connects healthcare professionals directly with facilities, offering a flexible and efficient way to fill shifts with trusted, qualified staff. By simplifying staffing, CareLink helps teams focus more time on care and less time on coordination. Together, Surge Learning and CareLink support the people and systems that keep care moving forward.
Welcome everybody to the Kitchen Table Care Chats. This is an unconventional kitchen table. We are at the conference room with Aware Ns today. So thanks everyone for joining. So we're going to talk a little bit about what you guys are doing, what has changed. I want our audience to have a full scope of what you guys offer because I believe that what you guys do is amazing, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows, but we want to make sure that everyone knows what services you guys have. So I'll give you guys a little bit of chance to introduce yourselves, maybe say a couple words, and then we'll kind of dive into the more topics.
Okay, super. So my name's Beth, and I'm an occupational health and safety advisor with Aware Ns. A little bit of background on Aware Ns. We are a not-for-profit that, if I go right back, we're looking at November 2008, when I believe we first made our appearance, and then we became incorporated the following year in March 09.
Okay.
So we've been around for a little while, but we've had some ups and downs. We had some dips, which maybe we'll touch on a little bit today, but we'll see. And prior to awareness, I came from the long-term care sector. So that would be a lot of my experience that I bring to the table when we talk about occupational health and safety, because awareness is providing occupational health and safety to the healthcare sector, specifically seniors long-term care, home care, the DSP division of OSD, and like there's all these different branches. Exactly. But that's kind of a little bit of who we are. And I have with me today a couple of my coworkers.
I'm Johnathan. I'm also an OHS advisor with Aware Ns and a Canadian Registered Safety Professional.
Yes, and hi, I'm Reza. I'm also an occupational health and safety advisor and a Canadian safety registered technician. So we're a team, so I'm happy to be here.
Thanks guys for being here. We appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, 100%.
So why don't you guys tell us a little bit more? What are you doing? What programs are you offering? Tell us all the tea.
Okay, so by far, our most popular program is our joint occupational health and safety training. It's a 2-day training, 2 full days, so day 1. Where we look at IRS and what that is, where we look at due diligence, what that means when it comes to occupational health and safety. Then we talk to the JOSH committees about, okay, so you're a JOSH committee, what does that mean? Why you even exist, how you exist, the way you function, what you can do. A little bit about what you cannot do, but really for you to do your due diligence within your organization when it comes to your safety in the workplace, this is what you can bring to the table. So that's by far our most popular course. I think following close behind that would be safe handling mobility. And this we got 3 different umbrellas, if you will, under safe handling mobility. We have a train the trainer program. which introduces PACE and then allows organizations, because when you're talking at 24/7, 365, not everybody works Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. So the Train the Trainer program allows for organizations to train in-house 2 a.m. in the morning, if that's what they have to do, or on a Saturday to catch, because it's all about the safety of the employee while they're at work.
Okay.
And when we look at statistics around, what based on WCB and their reports and everything, statistically, in the healthcare sector, we're almost 3 times more likely to be injured in the workplace than any other workplace, which is surprising to some people. But the thing is, our injuries are musculoskeletal. So we have to have those conversations, because a lot of that comes from what we actually do with our job, right? It's the actual act of doing our job that we're putting ourselves at risk. So let's talk about how to do it correctly. And not that we're ergonomists or anything, because we're not, but what we can do is, here are tools that are available now. They may not have been available 15 years ago, 10 years ago. Even some tools weren't available pre-COVID, but are now though. So that's what we talk about, that these are the tools and these are why you need to use them. Because you know how we say, oh, I got a sore back, and we just kind of roll our eyes and go, well, that's the job. Not really.
No.
There could be some things we can do to benefit that. So I'm not going to spend too much more time on that, because I can go on and on.
I could talk about that.
Yeah, so that's our train the trainer part of that, and a lot of that has to do with the resident, patient, participant, client mobility and movement, and how we assist them. But then we have to look at all of our other components, if you will, things like laundry, housekeeping, dietary, maintenance, recreation. They're doing a lot of moving and shaking too in the run of the day. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Absolutely.
Then we have, our big, with all the changes in the Occupational Health and Safety Act, we've obviously added to our program. So we offer a psychological health and safety awareness to action course, which is a half-day course where we go in and talk about exactly what it is and understanding what it is. And then we just start just initiate the conversation, because again, it's only a half-day program, on what it is we can do as individuals and from an organizational standpoint. And then last but not least, and under all these, there's child components to them too, if you will. We call those the parent, right? Because then we have harassment in the workplace. There's all these different components to that we offer. And then workplace violence prevention and what that is. So as we all know, or should know, that every 5 years we need to do that workplace violence risk assessment, and from that risk assessment develop a prevention plan. And so we can come in at the start and coach you or help you with getting that risk assessment off the ground, if so much as showing you what you need to do.
Right.
Because again, there's so many people that don't even realize, so many people within the organization, and I'm going right back to the IRS, that don't understand that we all could be involved in this workplace violence risk assessment. And not only can we be involved, we need to be involved, because how is what affects me every day when I come to work, in whatever position that is, how is that projected into that prevention plan if nobody was at the table to talk about it?
Right.
So that's just this really big overview. Some of the things. And then of course we're always, we ask organizations, reach out to us and tell us what it is you need where it comes to your safety in the workplace. Because we have absolutely been known to do some ad hoc putting things together, because we know what we know, we don't know what we don't know. Right? So when there's questions about occupational health and safety, come to us, that's what we know.
Right.
Right?
The best know that information on the people that are in the field doing it every day. Right.
So we need you to come from the table to say, okay, this is what we do. Because if we think about, the sectors, I came from long-term care. So when I'm talking to DSP, a small option home, we're going to work on this together because, yeah, I can bring the knowledge of the occupational health and safety to the table. And I do have, I say I know enough to be dangerous from long-term care, right? But I want to understand, you tell me what you do, and that's going to help me and help us then together develop something.
Amazing. And what do you guys think that would be that biggest gap? Like, what's that request that comes in most often that kind of deviates from those 4 main programs?
I'm gonna go right back to we don't know what we don't know.
Okay.
So we had the workplace violence, risk assessment help workshop out there for you. But I think a big gap right now is we don't all recognize what workplace violence is.
Right.
So when we start that conversation, and if we're doing in class and we ask the question to the group before we get started, so are you exposed to workplace violence in the workplace? The answer is always yes, because we're healthcare sector.
Of course.
And then when I say, give me some examples, they always talk about our interaction with perhaps our patient or client or resident or participant, things that happen like that. The struck bys or spit on or something like that. But the fact of the matter is, it's a much bigger picture. And it's only when you start talking about things like bullying, harassment, disrespect, incivility, that you really see it on people's faces going,
oh, that's that too. Yeah.
That's workplace. Yes, that's workplace violence too. So think about it. If we're required to do an assessment every 5 years with workplace violence, but we've never even acknowledged that this is part of the workplace violence picture, then that prevention plan, where we've been saying, well, they never do anything anyway, right? They never do anything anyway. It's because we, going right back to IRS, we are all involved, right? We've never brought it to the forefront.
Right.
We've never even seen it that way. So when we say they haven't done anything or nothing ever happens, you're right.
On that point, stats have shown for a few years now, actually, one of the things that really shocked me when I first heard it was that a nurse is just as likely to experience violence in the workplace as a nursing P officer is.
Oh, wow.
And one of the things that really surprised me when I first heard that stat, I was quite surprised. And I was working on some programming at the time. So I had shared it with my wife, who works in healthcare, and she said, yeah, that sounds about right.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So when I'm talking to people during our bullying harassment prevention course, I'll often share that information. People in the room just kind of, yeah, that's about right. When I tell people who don't work in healthcare, they are truly shocked by it. And so it somehow seems to be one of the best kept secrets, even though it's so prevalent in the healthcare in general. And I think that's one of the things that we just often accepted as part of the job, when it really shouldn't be. And until we start to acknowledge that it can change, lie about it. So I think a large part of what we're trying to do is increase the awareness of that piece to try and encourage some of that positive change.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I think you were talking a little bit about that incivility piece. I feel like there's a really big misunderstanding on that incivility and what does it mean for families to be civil to staff, how much we're exposed to unacceptable behaviors, how to react to that. So that's some really great. I'm glad you guys are doing that. That's fabulous.
Let's do.
Yeah. Yay. So can you guys tell us a little bit more about the role that you guys do with that? Maybe Reza, this is a great question for you. What does the role, are all of your roles the same or do they differ?
Well, it depends. Over the course of years, we have developed into a little bit of same positions but different positions. We're trying to have these curated relationships with different organizations. We are all trained and we all know how to basically provide and offer the same programs. There's no difference. But the thing that is different about every single one of us is the background and experiences that we have, right? Like Beth comes from long-term care and so many other experiences that she has. Johnathan comes over here from retail, the stores and safety in retail, and I come from academia. For a while I was in private sector and doing audits. And what here matters is when we sit down and when we are developing these programs, we all bring every single one of these pieces and we're like, okay, based on my experience, this works. And I think we have to include this as part of our program. That's the part that is very important, the part that happens behind the curtains and behind the doors.
Yeah, because let's be honest, occupational health and safety isn't fun. right? It's kind of boring. Well, we have fun with it. And sometimes when we start our sessions, like we're excited to be talking about, so there's a little bit of passion there, but you can tell that people are like, who invited them? Like, what is this going to be?
I was gonna say, I've done some of your classes. I know it can be fun.
So what Reza's talking about, what happens behind the doors, if you will, is all of this knowledge and all of this information comes together, and it can be pretty sterile. It can be pretty boring.
Of course.
It can be pretty, and it could come across as a lecture. That's not what we want.
Okay.
Right? We want people to understand the importance of occupational health and safety. We want them to understand that it's about them. Because I think one of our biggest challenges in occupational health and safety in healthcare, we're givers.
Yeah, absolutely.
We give to our patients, to our clients, to our participants, to, you know what I mean? Like they become almost part of our life. And even though we're not supposed to, we kind of have our favorites. We get so attached and we put ourselves second, maybe even third sometimes. And in doing that, we put ourselves at risk every day with everything we do. But that's what we do. Like, and then we go home, and then it's the spouse or the partner or the children or the parents so it never, we're givers. And I think, personal opinion, I think that's why we have such difficulty with accepting I have to put myself first.
Yes.
Right? I have to look at my safety first. Because let's face it, if I'm helping somebody or walking with somebody in a corridor, if I'm not prepared for them to go down, then I'm going with them.
You're both hurt.
And we're both hurt, and then there's all the guilt.
Yeah.
That's
So,
a hard thing to navigate.
Yeah.
It really is.
But it's really so true. And that is probably where the gap is.
In our rational minds, we get it.
Yeah.
But day to day, we talk about time constraints and pressures and all those kinds of things. But I was talking earlier about the tools that we have
Yes.
and safe handling mobility. So just using that as an example, transfer belts. Right?
I love a transfer belt.
We love a transfer belt, but so many people don't use that.
We sure do not.
And so many people don't understand that transfer belt is for you, the employee. Really, it is the person you're supporting wearing it, but it's so that you're ready, right? Because in all of our training, we're to gently guide them to the floor if they stumble or lose weight, if they can't bear weight. If they're falling, put them lunge in to help them, because that's what we do, right? So the idea of putting that transfer belt on, and all transfer belts are not created equal, right? So if just putting that transfer belt gives you that tool that can perhaps reduce your risk of injury today, putting your back out to something that's going to affect you at home, everywhere, at work, the whole bit, why not? And then that all comes down to safety culture within an organization, right?
Yes.
Because if you're the new employee and there's transfer belts hanging in everyone's room or assigned to certain people based on assessment, if nobody else uses them, it's really hard to be the new guy to come in
and use them. Yeah.
Right? And if I use it, does it make me look weak? But we know what a great tool it is.
Right?
And
we love it.
we love it. And we just wish that we could be there all the time to say, let's get the transfer belt. Let's talk about this some more and things happen. Anyway.
How do you try and engage teams in that though? Like, we know it's a problem. We know everywhere you can go in, there's not enough transfer belts. We say there's such great things, but I guarantee you I could walk into a long-term care facility and half the staff probably on that unit are not. I won't make a blanket statement that's everybody. We know it's still a problem. How do you engage people in that change?
Like I say that when I do my training courses, Josh is special. I always say, when you get to your Josh meeting, you got to shut the door and you have to be honest.
Yeah.
Because you have 1 hour every month. Let's say that's how often you do it.
Yeah.
1 hour every month, employees and employers get to sit down and work collaboratively and cohesively about your safety. So if we have transfer belts hanging in rooms that we don't use, it's kind of hard to come to the table and talk about we need more transfer belts. People aren't using the ones we have. So let's come to the table and talk about, hey, people aren't using the transfer belts. How can we fix this as a team?
Yes.
Right? Can we get together and move forward and have a plan?
Yeah.
Because earlier I said safety culture. The fact of the matter is, we have to simply communicate with one another. Because it's easy to go to any training session. People go to training sessions, and it's easy to get excited in a training session,
Yeah.
right? Because you got really great trainers, like here at Aware Ns, right? And you're excited about it when you leave.
Yeah.
But then when you go back to your organization, or tomorrow's a new shift and you're working with a different rotation or what have you, and there's friction between those rotations and all to start with, you know, the morning shift does it, the afternoon doesn't, and all this stuff. We have to start talking about our safety, period, and how important it is, and who's going to do that. I say to joint occupational health and safety teams, you know what? We talk about leadership and everything, and I don't believe leadership is manager of this, director of that, and whatever, team lead. Leadership comes from, you know, walking the walk and talking the talk, said earlier today. And as a Josh committee or as Josh teams, we can go out there and maybe be the brave one that takes the transfer belt off the back of the wheelchair and puts it on the
Yeah, like the ambassador, like.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I love tea. Oh, sorry, you go ahead, John.
I was just going to riff off what Beth was saying here, but I think, you know, one of the big things is that I don't think there's anybody who's in a managerial position or running an organization that doesn't think safety's not a priority.
No,
100%.
They just not necessarily know how to make it a priority. So if you're having a meeting, put a standing safety item on your agenda. There are ways you can leverage what you're already doing and remember safety is a part of that and can be part of that conversation. And so trying to find ways just implementing what we already do is one of the big missing parts, I think. We might be talking about this thing, but hey, what about the safety aspect? What do people need to know? What do people often forget? And that's a conversation that we could try to leverage a little bit more as leaders in an organization.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talked about that at Surge Learning. I work for Surge Learning, so we talked about education, how you get people to do their education, and it's bringing it to the report session, having the managers talk about it, bring it up, you know, give them ideas of when and where to like use the tools or go online and do their education in my sense. But yeah, using the tools that are already in place, like in the time where everyone's together anyway. Yeah.
And even then, asking for questions is huge. You might not get thoughts in the moment, but you need to open up the door in order for employees to feel comfortable coming forward to even share their thoughts. We need them to understand it's a safe place to bring their concerns. And it's not about judgment, it's about wanting to make the place safer and have genuine conversations.
Absolutely. And I think you were talking about that psychological safe space. You really have to create that for
100%.
First
Or-
place.
Yeah, if you don't have that, people aren't going to feel comfortable telling you, hey, we need A, B, C, D, F, G, and that's you're going to see those increase in injuries. And
Well, with the new legislation from last fall, which I'll let Reza jump in with, hopefully we're going to see more of that.
okay.
But yeah, Reza, I'll let you go with that.
Hey, tell us about it.
Yeah, I want to start with we got this request from so many different organizations that, okay, your psychological health and safety program is amazing, we love it, it's 3-4 hours. Our leaders or directors, sometimes they don't have 3-4 hours to sit in a session and listen. Do you have something that you can help us with? What are the shells and shoes and do's that we have to do it right now? Basically, what does the law and the government want from us right now with this new legislation? We're like, sure, that's why we are here. Awareness exactly exists for that. So we developed this new course, which is called Psychological Health and Safety, Employers' Obligations in Nova Scotia. The most important piece of new legislation changes is the definition of health and safety. When we look at Occupational Health and Safety Act of Nova Scotia, the definition has changed from health and safety means physical safety and health to health and safety means physical and psychological health and safety of the person. And this is a one word, two word change in the entire act. But the reason this is important is when we look at the act and when we go throughout the act, it's every place that the act is saying that employer is responsible for safety of everyone at workplace. it is employed, and we got to interpret this as psychological and physical safety. So that is very important, right? And basically, when we are talking about occupational health and safety, Occupational Health and Safety Act of Nova Scotia is that big law. That's that big law. And then under the act, we have regulations. So since this edition came through, we have a new addition to another part of regulation. It's called Workplace Health and Safety Regulations. It's a whole different piece of legislation. But again, it's made under the Act, Occupational Health and Safety Act, as part 27 of Workplace Health and Safety Regulations. And now organizations, they are required to have a harassment policy.
Yes, they should have.
Yeah, and so the thing is, now there's a whole definition as to just all organizations to go and read this part. Is very long. It defines what harassment entails, what bullying means, what kind of policy we need to have. But the key changes are, we used to have respectful workplaces policy. We are moving on from that policy into harassment policy now. So, and the big changes are, first, we need to make sure that if someone wants to report a harassment case, there should be at least another alternate route of reporting. What does it mean? If my manager, my supervisor is the person that is harassing me, who am I going to report this to?
Oh, yes.
Someone now.
Right?
Yes.
Does that make sense? So that's one of the key changes. And another thing is having a harassment policy and making sure that we are doing a risk assessment and identifying all this maybe hazards that exist within our workplace. And then the renewal or the review process for this is every 3 years. It's not every 5 years, it's every 3 years. And often organizations are confusing this part of legislation, the harassment policy, with another regulation which is called violence in the workplace regulations. And that's a whole different regulation. And as a part of that regulation, we are required to have a violence prevention plan and program. So two different things, very similar to each other, but they are two different requirements and obligation under the Act and regulations. One of them is having a harassment policy and prevention plan every 3 years to be reviewed. And the other one is a workplace violence prevention plan that is every 5 years to be reviewed.
Right.
And that comes with your workplace risk assessment in that 5-year.
Yes, that is supposed to be incorporated into our inspection checklist. So now it depends on the organization and the judge committee how they want to go about this one. What we suggest is to always include your judge committee or health and safety rep. If you have less than 20 regularly employed, you have a health and safety rep. To include them when you're going about your workplace violence risk assessment plan, it is better to include all of this, build it into your main inspection checklist. So when staff, supervisors, your judge committee or health and safety rep, they are going out there and doing inspections, they are also identifying these hazards that exist with these new pieces of legislation.
Very interesting.
Wow.
I didn't realize all the changes.
I
I've
didn't
been
know
there for a few years.
That's just it. People don't know what they don't know. That's why I come back to that, because you say you've been out of it for a few years. So registered nurse, working on the floor, the whole bit. But you went to school to be a nurse.
Right. I knew nothing about
Right.
jobs and occupational health and safety. I didn't know there were mandatory committees.
And-
I didn't know we needed meetings. I didn't know the importance of it.
Right.
Yeah.
So the same as like, a PSW, a CCA, like you go to school for your profession, but a big piece that's missing, like if we were going into construction,
Right.
you have a whole safety
Yeah.
component to that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
About your safety and all, but we don't see that
No.
in healthcare, right? But the way it works, so you may have been on the floor for a while, you go into a management role, you have obligations and responsibilities under the Occupational Health and Safety Act, right? But you don't even know it,
Right.
right? Unless you've attended a course or researched it on your own. But like I said, occupational health and safety can be a little bit boring. You don't even know anything about it, and I find that that's a really big gap.
I knew what Josh
Yeah.
was after I left the site. When I started, yeah, which was bizarre, right?
Yeah.
And the reality of it.
It's a big gap. And another I don't want to say necessarily issue. One of the challenges that exists is the law is made in a way that it could be very hard for general public to follow
True.
and connect the dots together. Because and that's why we are here. We do that hard work, we interpret it, and we'll let you guys know that this is a summarized version. These are the 3 regulations that are connected to one another. In the case of that one we just talked about, when we look at violence in the workplace regulations, it's still the regulations is focusing on the physical health.
Right.
It's still the definition right now is violence means threats or any acts towards the physical health. Even though we had changes coming through, which we are anticipating that this regulations is going to get updated very soon. But then when we are talking to organizations, sometimes we get this question of, so if psychological health and safety is now the law, why do we have physical health included in the definition? And then we have to go back and say, okay, which one is the bigger law? Your violence in the workplace regulations or the Occupational Health and Safety Act? Because when you look at your violence in the workplace regulations, it says under the Occupational Health and Safety Act, the act has a higher authority. Exactly. So you need to still look at your act, the fact that you now have a responsibility for both physical and psychological health and safety.
Right.
And what would you say if you had to like talk to a team about psychological violence? What would that look like from your perspective? Like if you're coming into a new team, they don't know a lot about it.
To define it for the team.
Define it or some examples.
So, I don't want to put any definitions here because the definition can be very diverse. And as we are moving forward, we are identifying new cases of violence. I love the example by Johnathan one time mentioned. He was like, as humans, we always look for opportunities to bully one another. The term cyberbullying didn't exist 20 years ago, but now we have a term called cyberbullying. Right. So if I want to define violence, I'm going to be going back again to the definition of law. Like, it is not the best practice when we are looking into reality, but we are not the authority to put best practices for organizations right now. If they want, we do suggestions and recommendations, but we are not a regulatory body. We are just like an uncle or a good friend that gives you life.
You can find it, you know.
Spell it out for you.
So you are scared of your parents, your mom, or your dad, and you go to your, I don't know, lovely uncle or cousin, and you ask your questions, and because they're a little older than you and they have experience, they help you with that one. We are like that. We are the friendly part. The part that is not supposed to be intimidating and is supposed to be friendly, and you can ask any questions.
I was like, Uncle Awareness.
I love that. And do you do like templates or programs or policies? What is?
Or do it. So we do have templates, and right now we are in the process of moving from predetermined policy templates for organizations to connecting with them and working with them and being side by side with them while they are developing the whole program and policy. So instead of just, hey, go to our website, download this policy, download this template of program, we are in the process of moving beyond that. And we're like, hey, there is a template, but we can schedule a session with you, come sit down with you, help you through that one, and have routine check-ins with you and make sure that you are following through. Because having a policy and program is one thing. Actually implementing that one and making sure everyone is following that, everybody actually reads that policy, follows that policy is another thing. And that's how we want to impact the culture in the workplace. That everybody is following these policies and is aware about these policies.
Right. That's the part we want to play in the safety culture. When we talk about building that safety culture, because there seems to be this disconnect. It's like, get your uncle, get your cousin, get your auntie, right? To come in and say, okay, how does this work for you? Because I mean, we could be talking about one home care agency, and we can't really compare it to another home care agency. They're different, right? Just because of the way they're structured, whatever, wherever the province they may be could have an effect on that. So templated policies have been great. They get people started, but to make it your own, and make sure you're crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's, then absolutely, that's what we're here for.
I love that.
Yeah,
You can learn not a lot about a safety program by how much dust is on the cover of it.
Yep.
Yeah, that is actually so true. Was it
Right?
hitting up the
Yeah.
shelf? Are we bringing this out? It's
Other than the leaf.
yeah.
So then I'm like, but why? Why is it sitting on the shelf? Because this is about you being safe in the workplace.
Yeah.
Right? I always say, especially in long-term care, when licensing arrived, everybody always knew when licensing arrived. Within seconds, you picked up the phone, the creams were put away, the doors were locked, the things, everything you knew you had to do. Like, call a spade, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, but what about us? What about us? Like, why is there dust on our binder?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
We can't just check the boxes that we've done things. We have to actually make sure that they're meaningful and
I mean, of course.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
100%. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff that we go out and we talk about when and it surprises us. So like I said, so we were incorporated in 2009. So we're talking quite a few years ago now.
Wow.
How many organizations in the healthcare sector don't even know we exist?
To me, that's just insane.
It blows my mind. Yeah. We recently were working with a standalone small options home. It was my home. And during that conversation, they were like, oh, I have to tell so-and-so, I have to tell so-and-so. So they themselves, like within their little group and how they supported one another, like 3 other small option homes that they're like, they never even knew we existed or what you could do. So it's like, oh,
Their
please,
mind
please,
was
please.
probably like blown. Like,
It was.
Wow.
Because, well, in this particular, it was very small. It was, there was one management. So you carry all the weight of everything you need to do legislation-wise, licensing-wise. Just because you're one little home doesn't mean none of that stuff matters.
Right.
It's all still there too. So for this particular executive director to realize, like, what? You guys do what? Like, it was like you just went, it was like, oh, I've been saved. Right? And that feels good. God, that feels really good.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
So we've actually been talking for like over half an hour already. So I just want to end off. Maybe this was a great one for you, Johnathan, but if an organization wanted to reach out and connect it with you, how would they do that? And is there a cost with that? What does that look like?
No cost currently associated with any of it. We are here. We receive our funding for seniors long-term care and opportunities of social development. So please reach out to us anytime. You can go to our website, awarens.com, or info@awarens.com, which would also come through our general box, which then .ca. .ca. Thank you very much. And get that, it'll come on straight to us. One thing is kind of playing off what Beth was just saying a moment ago. We do receive our funding from the government, but we are not the government. We are not Department of Labor investigators. We're not coming by to try and, bring the hammer down on you. Not that that's what they do, but we're here to try and help you find the gaps and bridge that. We're not here to give anyone a hard time. When you have questions, when you have concerns, you can reach out to us and we can absolutely help you try to bridge that.
Wonderful.
We want to help you stay safe in the workplace.
Absolutely.
Plain and simple.
Psychologically safe space.
Absolutely.
Love it. So thank you so much. I've used many of your guys' resources and always fabulous. So much appreciated. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for inviting us.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching.